Welcome everybody to our New Humanity Live podcast. And today we welcome Manvir from the UK. Hi Manvir.
Hello.
So wonderful to have you here. You're located in the UK and you're a New Humanity Live meditation teacher, and you do a lot of work behind the scenes for quite a while. So amazing to be here with you today.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. I've loved the other interviews, so I was just looking forward to this one.
Here you are. Wonderful. Yeah, so maybe you can tell us about how your awakening story started.
Yeah, I when I came into spirituality, it was just mainly like a lot of mental stuff, and I was just reading a lot of things. Was into more of like reading a lot of occult things as well, and I just kind of um was just reading things, and it was like it wasn't practical until one day I just came across my first meditation teacher, and from there I started to experience like, oh, like this is what meditation actually is. Because from that time I was meditating like just like the average person, just to calm your mind and things like that. And then my experience with my first meditation teacher, I was like, like I had different experiences and things in meditation which I didn't have before. And at the same time, like the first like book that I wasn't forced to read from school was The Power of Now.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was like a thing that was always at the back of my mind, like, okay, this enlightenment thing, this enlightenment topic. And then I got to a point where I just kind of hit this plateau. I was like, okay, I feel like there's more to it, but I'm not finding like what it is. It seems like there's steps, but I don't know what the steps are. And that's when I came across like the levels of consciousness. And this was like more of like the David Hawkins side of it. So I was like, okay, I see a bit of like a roadmap, but I still don't know what to do. And then finally, by grace, by luck, I came across a video from Mindo, and it was a Amrita Nadi video. And then from there, I jumped into New Humanity School or New Humanity Life, and I've been just progressing there ever since.
Wow, amazing. So how long was that ago? How many years or?
Ooh, okay, so with New Humanity Life, I think it's been about like 2 or 3 years. And then before that, I've probably been meditating for about a decade. But probably in 2018 was when I really started taking things to a next level with my practice.
Wow. So what have been your practices so far? What kind of meditations, and what was the difference between humanity life and
Yeah, so it was interesting because the meditations I was doing before, well, one was a lot of shadow work and emotional healing, subconscious like healing. And the other aspect was, to be honest, it was just intuitive. I didn't quite know what I was doing, but I was just going in meditation, trying to go as deep as I could. It was a lot of experiential stuff.
Mhm.
So that was like the main difference when I came to New Humanity was like, oh, okay, we're going beyond this. Because at one point it was just like I was just going in to have an experience, and I'll come out of meditation. And it was like there was always this thing where I go in meditation, I feel amazing. Soon as I come out of meditation back to life, things are kind of like, oh. But then like the way it's taught in New Humanity Life is like it's quite grounded, and so it's almost like um you feel just as good in meditation in a sense as you are out of it, and that just keeps going up.
Right. So have you experienced challenges on your way? You mentioned you did some emotional work, some clearings, I guess.
Yeah, I think the main challenge is patience.
Right.
Like, I'm just like I just want to boom like do everything ASAP. I guess I'm just a driven person, and but at the same time, it's like that's like the opposite to what works with this path, especially. So I think one of my main challenges has always been patience. Like as soon as I know that there's a next level, it's like, oh, I want to get there. And the amount of times, even like in sessions where I feel it's like the times that I feel like I've made the most progress, I haven't. And the times that I don't really care, it's like, I've progressed way more than I realized.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the other main challenge I experienced was with the emotional healing side of things, was kind of being too much focused on that. Like I was a lot of the times focused a lot on healing, healing, healing. And that would actually like drain my energy a lot. So like I wouldn't feel as like even though I would be healing a lot, I still wouldn't be feeling as good because it's like I just keep focusing on healing. And that was another thing I learned working with Mindo and New Humanity Life was like, oh, there's a better way to go about it. And another challenge, I'm remembering all my challenges now. It's probably balance also because I have a tendency to be a hermit. Like I really enjoy what I do, and I'm just like end up being secluded. And so it's like just remembering, like, hey, Manvir, there's like a nice world outside. There's nice people outside that you can go and meet as well. You don't need to just be focused on what you're doing. And that's actually what I really loved about again the levels of consciousness and the pathway that we have is that it's kind of taught me to enjoy the quote unquote normal aspects of life just as much as the quote unquote spiritual. Because, at a certain point, when you get to presence, that all just kind of collapses and you get out of the spiritual honeymoon and
Right.
spiritual ego, which I definitely had my fair share of. You just become more grounded in reality. And that was a really nice like gift that I got from this work.
Right. Beautiful. And so you did some sessions, or you do some sessions on regular basis, and did you also visit some retreats? What were your experiences?
Yeah, so far it's the online retreats I've been to, and yeah, I've been having regular sessions. And the first thing that was just a big like eye opener was it really makes the journey much quicker and easier with the right guidance. Like even before I had sessions, there was a time that I learned while I was going through the levels of consciousness pages. But even then, even knowing the differences is still it's quite kind of difficult to do on your own, especially when you get to the more subtler levels. And so that's a big thing that I gained from the sessions. And Mindo is just very like sharp and on point. Like his pointings are just like straight, like he sees exactly where you are and is able to guide exactly where you need to be. And actually same with Lyonne, because I had at the beginning, my first session was actually with Lyonne, and where she kind of just pointed out where I was in the next step. And yeah, so the sessions are definitely like they're very fruitful. And especially the online retreats are amazing also because well, one is just nice to see the other faces and get to know the community. And there's just like a special effect always when you're just in a group environment, and it's like very enriching, and you actually get to focus a lot more like on your meditations and the levels of consciousness, because like day to day it's like you have these pockets, and so you're in it for a bit and then you're back to what you have to do in the day. Whereas the online retreats, just getting that time, it's like very rejuvenating and integrative. Like sometimes it can feel like a lot of effort when you're just doing your separate meditations, with the online retreat it's just like a nice, almost like a womb, nice room that's very nurturing and always very integrative. Like sometimes um like when I remember coming into presence or awareness, like it was still very fresh, and so resting in that, it feels quite sharp, like almost like in a painful way, in the sense that it's like there's this layer that you have to go behind. And so the retreats were just very integrative and nourishing and nurturing.
Right. Yeah. And it's also wonderful to meet, how you said, all these other people and benefit from each other, to benefit from each other. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so was there like a shift moment or many shift moments you can remember well?
Oh, coming into presence was like a slap in the face. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
like my bubble just got popped because it got burst. I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess this spiritual thing was just all in my mind. And that was definitely the first shifting moment.
Mm,
Especially as someone who focused a lot on emotional healing
mm,
and subconscious healing, I kind of saw that, oh, like it was almost like it was the first time I actually realized how much like time not wasted but was unnecessary, because when I came into presence it was like, oh, there's a whole layer of the subconscious that I wasn't accessing before with my healing work. And so it was much more efficient if I had focused, on the roadmap rather than keep on focusing on emotional healing. And also, like, I think pretty much every level of consciousness, I would say more so after beginning with presence, has been quite eye-opening. And it's like pressing the restart button every single time on your perception
mm,
of reality and of life. And each level just feels like
mm.
when I came into presence, came to non-duality, I'm like, oh, this is amazing, this is the best. Now come into awareness, I'm like, oh, this is amazing, this is the best. And it just
Yeah,
it just keeps
continues.
on rolling. And
Mm,
and at the same time, it's just like my whole reality, like, or perception just gets shattered at the same time. Like the same motivations or the same inspirations are no longer driving me the same, because it's like, I think originally, like coming into 500s and presence, there was a lot of like, okay, I want to achieve this, this, and this.
mm,
But then as I started to progress and got more comfortable in my being and in the present, it's almost like motivations and desires slip away because you're so fulfilled
mm,
in the moment. Um, Before, like, a desire would be like a place, like I feel like this normally, and but when I have this goal or desire, like thinking of it brings me kind of higher.
mm,
Whereas now it's like, okay, nothing can kind of be more blissful than how, or peaceful how, than what I'm experiencing now.
mm.
So that attachment to desire goes. And I think this was another big shifting moment for me, was that in the beginning, I would look at, read The Power of Now, or look at videos about enlightenment. And I it would I would try to force myself to not have a desire, or force myself to be present. And then the biggest shift was realizing, oh, like all these things that teachers speak about comes naturally. Like you don't have to force yourself to not have a desire. You don't have to force yourself to be aware. When you're at that right moment, at the right stage, it flows through naturally.
True. Yeah, that's the most beauty of it. It becomes less effort. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
wonderful. Yeah, and also I know that you are doing like your own meditations, right? And I looked you up someday and I saw that you like to create a meditation nation, if this is correct. If you like to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that, be interesting.
Yeah, I actually kind of shifted it from there just to like a personal brand, just the name, because I was like, it integrates better with the mission of New Humanity Life, because it's pretty much the same mission I was
Yes.
having, which was another great thing actually. Like when I joined, I'm like, oh, everyone's doing exactly like the whole mission statement here is exactly what I wanted. Like,
Yes.
And actually, another side note was when I first came across the level of consciousness and I didn't know about New Humanity Life. I was like, okay, Manvir, like I've experienced this, and this level of consciousness differently. And I was like, okay, let me try figure this out for myself. And then when I came to New Humanity Life, I was like, thank God that I came across you guys, because there was no way I was gonna figure this out on my own, at least for another 50 years. It's really surprising the accuracy of what we have here. But yeah, with my own meditation sessions, yeah, I literally love giving meditations. I actually had an experience where I was kind of so going back to my spiritual journey, there was like a point where I was focused a lot on holistic health, and I thought I was going to go through that path, like as what I would do moving forward. But I was still like in this state of confusion, and I was like asking for guidance. I was like, okay, what should I do? What should I do? And it was at that moment where it was like the first time I had like you could say like an experience, or like a significant experience in meditation. And it was just a voice, probably with my higher self, which was just like teach meditation. It just gave me this direct clarity and guidance. And ever since there, I've just been seeing how passionate I am about meditation, and how much I love it, and how much I love holding space for others. And so even the teacher training courses have been just an absolute blessing, because it provided me a structure to help take other individuals through. Because at the beginning, a lot of it was based on emotional healing and things like of that nature, because that's all I really knew. And to be honest, a lot of the times when people first come to me, like that's where they where they need help at the most in the beginning. But then afterwards, I would be kind of like not as sure which way to go. And the teacher training course really has helped provide a structure for that. And as you know yourself, it's so lovely to give transmissions. It's just
yes. We just learned that now in the continuation of the teacher training. So you did the one before, and now the continuation is to help others to step into the different levels of consciousness, to give transmissions on those specific levels. And it's just amazing. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, so are there any daily practices you are doing yourself? Would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm always doing the 5 Tibetan rites. Literally, like the first day I read that on the webpage, I've just been doing it since. And other day in the morning, first thing, and then also have like sometime in the afternoon I'll meditate again. And days that I'm feeling tired, because I've learned to kind of gauge now because there's this process where it's like, okay, there's a part of progression where you need to meditate, and you're focusing, let's say, on the next space or the next level of consciousness. Then there's a segment where you kind of need to focus a bit more on integration and healing. And so sometimes I would do pranayama every now and again, just to replenish my life force, just to kind of integrate and get that boost to continue moving forward.
Breathing techniques for those who don't know.
Yeah, breathing
yoga.
Yeah. And I think that is pretty much yeah, what I do as a daily practice.
Right. Yeah, and so regarding community, is community important to you, to have a community?
Yeah, it would be pretty boring. Like from what I've experienced, it's pretty boring when it's on your own. And it really does support the process just as much as getting like one-to-one guidance, because it's like a whole, like, coming to the satsang every week. It's like you're in the room with everyone moving in the same direction, sharing similar values. there's a lot of, everyone's unique, so there's a piece that every person brings in. And even in the satsang, there's a lot of people that have asked questions. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that they asked that question. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, and it really, yeah, I guess it really adds to the mission. Like when you've got a community and you've got a group of individuals, the same goal, the same intentions, it really helps concentrate what we're doing here.
True. Yeah. Beautifully said as well. Yeah. Oh. So maybe is there one message you like to give out to the world about life or your insight, wisdom?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Or what is important on the journey or something? Yeah.
Okay, I will say that's a good one. What's important on the journey? Definitely is to, if as long as the right help is available, just to seek the right help. Because I feel like that's where for me, that was where a lot of my struggle was seeking the right guidance, seeking the right help. Like if it's available, go for it. And you know, trust yourself to, well, actually, yeah, also that, you know, if you're seeking guidance or seeking something, just in meditation, just ask for it, set the intention. Because that's, if I think about it, that's kind of how a lot of, well, that's how I ended up here, was just like, okay, I'm not clear what I need right now, or I'm not clear, I need some support. Please let me find it. Set the intention in meditation.
That's true. Like how Mindo said, like ask and you get answered. Yeah, this way. Aw, thank you, Manvir, for being here with me
Thank you.
today. It was wonderful to meet you. Yeah, big pleasure.